NFL on the Run podcast. The project is co-financed by the European Union.
Hello, I'm Mara Arvai from Szeged. I'm representing JOPA, Youth for Participation Association from Hungary. Today, this episode, we will speak about how we can reconnect with nature, how we can support young people to find their way back to nature, just to enjoy, to be there, to learn how they enjoy, how they support the nature as environment, how they find themselves in the right way, in the right direction, how they can build up again the natural instinct to be in the nature. For that, I have two wonderful guests. One of them represents an environmental association from Italy, and the other one is a youth organization from Hungary. If I can ask you to introduce yourself a bit, let's start with Simone.
Thank you very much. So I'm Simone Tiso from Italy. I'm here representing my association. It's called Le Guide Piccole Dolomiti, roughly translated with Small Dolomite Guides. So it's a regional association working in the environment. And thanks for having me.
Grazie, Simone. Andy.
Hello, sziasztok! My name is Endre Kis from Hungary. Everybody calls me Andy. I'm from the organization JOPA, Youth for Participation Association, but Simone already said it in Italian, so I need to say it in Hungarian, just to confuse everyone. So it's Fiatalok az Állampolgári Részvételért Közhasznú Egyesület.
And now everyone has to repeat it.
Of course, it's more language learning as well, Italian and Hungarian. That's why it's good to have an international partnership. So, both of you have several wonderful experience, successful stories, I would say, how you work with young people to support young people to reconnect with nature. If you can share some concrete method or activity, tool as a good practice that you are proud of on behalf of your organization, that how you support young people to feel comfortable to be at home in the nature again. Simone.
Okay, so very briefly, my association is made by a lot of colleagues. We all are environmental guides and we work in the mountains and the outdoors in general. We work from kindergarten to senior age. We don't have a sweet spot. We just can do with anyone. And I wanted to take a couple examples, not to talk too much because otherwise we can stay here hours and hours, just talk about everything. But for example, with the elementary school, age 6 to 10-ish, we do a lot of labs in class, but for every lesson we do in class, we take them outside to see what we talk about in class. So, for example, we have a project last couple of years and where we were teaching fossils and geology to children. And so we take them outside with their class, their teachers, and then we took them in a fossil spot to find fossils so they can learn how to find, how to look for it, how to collect it, and to recognize it, because a picture can tell you so much, but touching with your hand and see with your eyes, it's always a plus. And another example, we work for testing the environmental salubrity, the quality of the environment, and there's a class of animals called bioindicators, and we teach kids how to collect them, how to classify them, identify them, and based on which species you find, you can kind of get the quality of the environment you're studying. So the kids can see with their eyes in first person, they can see how's the environment around their houses, around their town, around their city. And in high school, so kids a little bigger, but we did a good project also last couple of years. It's just finished. We took the local high school of my hometown and we did a project of tracking a new trail. So we taught the classes to track, use a GPS device, read a map, and the kids decided a new trail and they tracked a new trail and they created a new trail. And then all the trails created by the school were put in a map and the map were given to all the citizens of the main town. And in a couple of things for adults too, just to don't leave anyone outside of the examples. And we work a lot with the companies and we do team building experience. And the most sold one is the survival experience. So we take people from the company, we keep them outside for a couple of days, 3 days without anything. So we sleep outside, we sleep in the wild, we teach them how to build a campfire, how to cook in that campfire without pots and instruments and stuff. We teach them how to build a shelter without, of course, a tent or a hammer or nails and whatever. And they have to sleep in that shelter they built. They have to eat in that campfire they built. And there's a lot of advantages doing that, because when you share simplicity, when you share difficulties, you can really connect with a person. Because I think in the office, in the company, everyone can show to his colleagues just one side of them. But in the nature, you have to be your true self. And the new added gadget to our organization is a Gillette machine. So a Gillette is a machine for disability. It's kind of like a chair with one wheel under the seat with 4 handles, 2 in the back, 2 in the front. So you need 2 guides to drive it. The person sits in the chair, and it's used for bringing people with a lot of physical disabilities in the mountains again. So we used a lot with senior centers and stuff like that. And we took maybe people that used to go in the mountain that now can't. We took them again in the mountain trails and hiking around in our mountains, or people that never been to the mountains because they never could. And so we can give them this experience.
So if I got it right, then you really provide a lot of opportunities to young people to experience their own surrounding, just to explore a bit what they learn in the biology and geography books, but really experience it through non-formal learning activities on their own skin, what it is in the reality, what are written on the books. And on the other hand, you provide opportunity for adults to reconnect with nature and explore themselves through the challenges, adventures which the nature provides us, really to how they react, what are their instincts when they are going back to our origins as nature, what we forgot several times, I think, nowadays, unfortunately. And then you provide a lot of opportunities, more and more opportunities now for disabled people as well to participate. If I can ask this question from you, that based on your experiences, what is the feedback what you receive mostly from young people, either with or without disabilities? Which activity that you provide are the most interesting, most adventurous, that one that they say that, aha, for this it was amazing to visit your organization or to work with your organization?
So yeah, while you were talking, just a couple of things came to mind. Of course, I'm biased because it's my job, so I really believe in the value of being outside. The outdoor gives you something that few other stuff, because I don't want to talk in general, but not much stuff can give you as much as the outdoors give you. And living the outdoor is harder but wonderful. And I can see a documentary, I can see a picture, I can see whatever, but nothing's like being there in that moment. And if you are there in your car, you are still seeing that from a screen, because the windshield, you are comfortable, warm in your car. You are not living the nature, you are not living the environment, you are not living the place you are staying in. And if you are go to this, I'm also a guide around the world, so they usually tell me, yeah, I've been to Africa, I've been to Cairo in a village. I said, no, you're not been to Africa. You have been in a place that you can find all around the world. It doesn't matter where you are. If you want to be in Africa, you have to go to the savannah, you have to go to the tribes, you have to check what's the nation, the environment means. For schools, for kids, a couple stuff that really impact. It's very simple, but for little kids, just getting your hand dirty. So I can show you a picture on your book, I can show you a picture on your electronic board that now every school have a screen, a board that is multifunctional. But if I teach you to pick up an animal and look it up close and study it, and I explain how you can find by yourself its name, you will never forget it. So when the kids come out with us and they check the quality of the environment, and so in a morning or in a day, full day of studying the environment, we find 10, 20, 30 animals, and we classify it and we write it down, and they discover their names, and then based on what they find, will you know if the environment is good or not. That they will never forget. Of course, looking at animals always has its appeal, so the kids really enjoy go and look for animals. Of course, you will not find wolves and bears, you will find frogs and newts, but it's still good. A lot of insects too. And for older kids, high school, that kind of age, also there's a lot of kids, especially maybe in bigger town or cities, that never had the chance to go outside to do something physical, to do something in the nature. So one other thing we do is an orienteering experience, and that's for the older kids is one of the most enjoyed, because we teach them how to use a compass, how to read a map, how to orient themselves in the environment without Google Maps that tells you where to go. And so, of course, it's a game, it's a competition, so it's sold as a game, but they can leave the place they are. They have to pay attention to their surroundings, because now if you walk around, you can see all the people walking with their head tilted down, watching at a screen. Not 24/7, but 18/7. And if the chances to look around and pay attention of your surroundings are less and less. And so the kids don't realize it. Most of the kids, of course, there's also kids that are grown in a different kind of way, etc. So most of the kids, and the ones that don't have these chances, they really appreciate it once they are put in the condition to enjoy the environment.
So as adults, we all the time complain that the younger generation is just only interested in the screens. But I think if we give them the opportunity just to go out to the nature, even maybe force them a bit, then definitely they will enjoy and they will get such an experience that it will be memorable and very useful for them.
Yeah, every kid, every person is interested in nature. Everyone. They just don't know it yet.
Grazie, Simone. Andy, if you can share some good example from Jopa that you use with young people as a good practice, either a method or an activity or a tool which help young people to reconnect with nature.
We have a bit different situation than Simona has with the mountains, because we are from a completely flat area. So we are a bit limited in this sense of nature around. But with Jopa, we try to bring the kid out still into a close forest or into a park, because I really love the way that you mentioned that everybody loves to be in the nature, but they don't know it. They sit, they lose the senses, as you mentioned as well. They are on the screen continuously. They are not focusing on what's going on. And it came to my mind the way that we are dealing with several times with kids, to focus on the senses of them. Because we are in the nature, we get used to walk, we used to do different things, but without knowing that what we are doing. And we have a set of activities that we do with groups of young people, starting in the sense that from the city, let's do a walk till the closest, not from the city, but let's say from the civilization with the conquer and everything around us. Let's go a bit of walking of 15 minutes to a spot where it's only nature. And then you talk with the kids. Okay, how did you walk? Did you talk? Did the JBL was bouncing music continuously because they cannot walk without it? Or you were attentive on the nature that where we are going? And then they say, no, it was like we were coming like loud normally in the city. And then we give them the task to walk by themselves, focusing on how do they are stepping and how do they put down their feet on the floor in order, like a predator, like a small fox or a wolf, because you were mentioning that they cannot see the wolf, but it's good to be the wolf a bit, and start walking in a way that without giving sounds, and just till the moment that they practice in a way that there are no sounds. They focus on where do they step, how do they put down the legs, blah, blah, blah. They are going for a bit of walking till they master it. Then they come back and then we talk about it. Okay, so what was the difference between the previous human-animal walking, like a city walking, and then an animal-animal walking? And then they have a discussion of how it was cool. I focused more on where do I stand. I saw a lot of things. And then we give them different tasks, either step by step, or randomly which one they want to do first. One of them, which I really love, and we try to connect the different senses, that you give them a piece of paper, cut it like a circle, like a vinyl, and you ask them, okay, now is the vinyl, you will be the sound recorder. Go find a place, sit down, record all the voices, what you hear, draw it down on the paper. And they're like, what? To draw down? Come on, there is nothing to draw down. We are in the nature. And then you give them a chance. They walk for 15 minutes, listen, sit, and everybody comes back with a full LP with all the sounds. And you ask them, okay, now play down the recording. So then they are starting to say that, okay, I hear this voice, and there was a bird, and then in the background there was a tractor going, and then a BMW was blah, 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 blah. They focus on the sounding of where they are and how they are, which connects them to the nature on one hand, and on the other hand, it helps them to calm down. So they are rooting themselves to the nature in this term that, okay, we are not in a rush all the time. We need to be aware of where we are going and what do we do, how do we do. The other one, it's not with the hearing, but it's with the eyes. And we say to them that take a piece of paper or whatever you have in your hand and find a spot in the surrounding of yours that it reminds you of something. It could be on the top of the tree, it could be a piece of grass, it could be a rock. And now we are Instagram situations, we are zooming all the time and doing macros. So now is the moment to macro it and zoom it down in that particular spot and draw down the shape of it or draw down the color of it, draw down what it looks like. And then they need to invent a picture that what this original stone, leaf, tree, shade represents them from their daily life. Because we can have the same textures and the same shapes everywhere in the world. I'm not bringing in numeristicas and all the golden cuts and all these things, but we have all the shapes in the nature. We learned it from the nature, and that's how we build our houses. So then if you look the top of the trees, you can see a face, and then you connect it, and then you can write a story about it. Then I'll draw it down, zoom in, that's my mother, when my mother is angry. So then they are coming back to, and I'm using mother in the sense of the mother nature. So it's a super connection for them that this is where we are from, and this is what we have. And then we have several other senses that we focus with them. Smelling, bringing each other to a different spot. Find one of them could be blindfolded or it could be in the sense of just with the closed eyes. So you need to focus on your friend that you are taking with, and you need to focus on the nature. And you find a spot, you find a piece of object, could be whatever, a leaf, a rock, and you ask your colleague to smell it without touching it. So now we focus on the touching, on the smelling part. Then you bring back the kid to the original place where you started the walk, and then they need to find where I was. What was the smell that it brings me? How many steps I did on the way? What was the floor where I was walking? Most of the time they don't find it in the first moment. They are really super lucky if they found it, but they found something similar to the smell of it, because we forget to smell. We forget to feel. We are in the moment of, it could be a rock, but it smells dirt. What the dirt smells like? Is it the tree trunk that has the same smell, or is it some herbs that I picked up from the pot? So we do quite a lot in the senses. We are not touchy people in Jopa in the sense because we don't have the knowledge of what kind of plants are poisonous and what not. So we go in an urban way into the nature, like we are that one.
I can come with you next time if you want. I can spot out the venomous plants.
That would be amazing. But I wanted to say that we are as Jopa, we are completely lucky because we did youth exchanges with Simone. So it's for me as a wannabe young person from an urban city, being in the nature with Simone was a marvelous idea and moment to feel and connect to the nature. But I will come back for this because there is something that I need to share that was really amazing.
I will wait.
Yeah. The last one that I want to share with you, we have been talking about the eyes and the sight. We talked about the smells. We talked about the foot of moving. We talked about the ears. There is one sense which is still missing, is the sense of belonging to the nature. And we learned it from Finland. It sounded really strange in the beginning to take a kid or take someone out into the nature and find a tree and hug it. Come on. Why would I hug a tree? It's in the American movies, we have the tree huggers, all the hippies, they called it in this way. So for us as well, it's like, find a tree and hug it and connect it. It sounds really ridiculous. And we did it several times in Finland. And then nowadays we are doing it in Hungary as well, because that's the point. Generally, you don't think about to hug a tree. Why would I hug a tree? Come on, the tree doesn't hug me back. So we hug the tree and you connect with the tree. And in the first moment, it's really weird. And then you spend a couple of minutes. First, you need to find your tree because trees are different. Not all the trees accepting the hugs. So you go there, you find your tree in the nature and you hug it and you are just there in the present. That boosts the belonging to the nature for many people from the feedbacks in what they said afterwards, that it's the moment that, I'm present, I'm in the nature and I'm still safe because I know that in 15 minutes I can be back into the civilization with the conquer. That helps a lot from our perspective to the young people, and not only the young people, but youth workers as well. That, okay, I'm completely overwhelmed with the sounds and the noises, so I need to get out from my place for 15 minutes or half an hour to have this moment of me, nature, and we are together. And then I can restart my brain and go back to the reality of rushing and missing my screen, because we are addicted to the screens. It sounds really strange for me as a person who lived in the city center ever in their life. Nature is super scary, is super enormous, but you can be the friend of nature. And if you think in this way that we are there to live together, then you start thinking about it, that, okay, do I need to trash all the time? Do I need to think that nature is bad? Am I going in this way that I'm going to kick the rock all the time to fall down? And it brings a lot of things back to young people to think that, okay, next time maybe I'm not going to trash away my Coca-Cola bottle on the walk. And then they have this mindset after the workshops that, okay, I collected trash there, so I need to go back and, somebody throw there a bottle. I need to pick it up because it's not the place to be. And for me, it's a beautiful thing to see that how a half an hour of being in the nature changed the mindset of people. And I can talk hours and hours about the international youth exchanges that we do with water and other stuff and how Mother Nature is affecting our life. But that's probably for the next 1 million year episode that we're going to be back.
However, you have already mentioned, Andy, that Jopa has cooperated with Simone's organization already, which means that you two have already a past as colleagues. If you can share some good examples that you learned from each other, so like cooperating together or listening each other's working background, how we help to reconnect young people to nature, what you would like to adapt from the work ethics or work examples from each other. Which of you would like to start?
I'm jumping because I said that we already been together in a youth exchange.
Yeah.
And as I said, we are from a flat zone, and we did several projects in the north of Italy with in Valdagno and Requaro Terme. And for me, it was most of the time the most brilliant thing. And Simone said as well that it's important that the kids are in the nature and they explore what's going on and to touch and to feel. And most of our kids in the youth exchange, what we did together in the first part, when we went into the river, they said, I'm not going into the river. It's terrible. It's mud, blah, 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 blah. We are clean people. And after 15 minutes, everybody jumped into the water and they were running and collecting all the bugs and all these little animals that we don't know the name either at all. But it was super funny. And the main thing was that the ones who are not from a farm area but lived in a block of flats, they were the first to jump in that, okay, I've never done this. And this approach that they are presenting for the young people, it's for me completely out of the world level because I'm not used to that, and most of the young people are not used to that. And then one thing which if I would live in a mountain area, I would be super proud of this extra chair for people with disabilities to be connecting to the nature, because that's what we forget. I mean, mountains are not for everyone. I know I climbed Requaro Mill at 1,000 meters and I was dying on the way, but still I could do it. But there are a lot of people who miss this opportunity. So for me, that is super best practice in this part.
Thank you, Andy. Simone.
Yeah, so one thing that came to mind while you were talking, Andy, about the collecting trash, I wanted to share because, as you say, when you teach them to stay in the right mindset in the nature and everything you do, just put them in the right, correct mindset. You don't have to tell them about picking up the trash because they alone will see that that stuff doesn't belong there. So that happens also because when I do guided tours with kids, we don't talk about trash, we don't talk about ecological, environmental, sustainability, etc. We talk about animals, but at the end or during, if they see a can, paper, something, they pick it up because they know we talk all day long about the environment, salubrity, condition of the environment, and they pick it up by yourself without we needing to tell them about it. Another thing that I really liked hearing you it was the LP draw on paper. Why is that? Because I think I can implement it in my activities because I need a right mindset. Like, for example, when I'm outside in the wild and I have maybe to do data collecting about animals, about the voices and noises of animals, I need the class or the group or whatever to be quiet, to be silent, to listen. And they are, most of the time, not always, but they are really enthusiastic about being there. And enthusiasm is always accompanied by noise. So you can't hear a lot of what's happening around you if we are noisy. But if maybe there's a little activity, if there's a little activity that just calm you down and put you in the right mindset as the LP drawn on paper, maybe it's easier to do also the...
Because nowadays LPs are super fancy things.
Yeah, now they came back.
Like, but now it's the casettas, the other one. But in the casetta shape, it's really difficult, but you can draw the cover. But I wanted to say the Bear Grylls things.
Yeah.
The survival, that could be a super idea for the future project, to bring a Bear Grylls camp with young people, not only just olders with the company, but to take the kids with several guides up in the mountains for 2 days and to do a camp there to see that how it is. Because for kids, they would be freaking out to sleep under the nature, and it would be amazing for them to be prepared.
Yeah, all year long we are already doing a survival kid course once a week in the nature, and they learn how to build a fire, how to don't pick up poisonous and venomous
I'm supposed
plants.
to go there with the kids. Definitely, I would enjoy it.
Well, how I think it's obvious that you already have a lot of common experiences and you are really inspiring each other and each other's work regarding non-formal learning with young people and how you support their way back and explore themselves in the nature. And how I listened, it's not only an environmental organization and a youth organization is cooperating with, but you are involving schools and companies as well with a lot of under 30 years old people. So it's already non-formal learning on the run among different organizations. So thank you very much for your sharing, Simona and Andy.
Thank you very much.
Go out to the nature and get dirty.